Hey, it's Jeremy from OpticHouse.com. So, in the last video I posted, I had mentioned briefly the idea of painting all the paintings in one color as opposed to painting them in different colors. There's a couple of reasons why I think this will be a good idea for me. One is that I feel like I can move around the page more than I did here. Doing each one in a different color, a sepia tone, one in greens, one with a magenta base, one with a yellow base, meant that for each one, I tried to get a certain level of completeness done in each color before moving on to the next piece, because I felt like it was a waste to let those colors, put them out on the palette, then just use a couple of dabs here and there, let them dry out, and then move on to another piece. And people would say, well, if you're using oils, you wouldn't have to worry about that. It's going to stay liquid, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, blah, blah, blah is dismissive. I'm sorry. It's making it sound snotty. I like working in acrylics because I like working fast, but it's not perfect, and that's one of the reasons why. Yes, if I were working in oils, I could have all of them going at the same time and not worry about them drying out. In fact, that would probably be really smart for somebody working in oils is to work this way. And I know many oil painters do have several canvases going at the same time. I do not paint in oils, however. I probably should try it someday. But for me, it was the ability to move around the page more, because I feel like then I can focus on just blocking in the values for each one of these paintings. Like as you see in the green piece here now, I'm going in with a little bit of blue to block in the shadows, creating a little bit of contrast. And even this piece, I come back in later and add some more highlight to it. Going with yellows to kind of punch up contrast with the greens. But that's definitely something where doing all of that and trying to finish that before moving on to the next piece was wanting to make use of what I already had laid out on the palette. I think the other thing that I might benefit from is, not necessarily benefit from, but just as a practical matter, I've got a bunch of paint, old tubes that I haven't used up, that just colors I've had from various paintings around, but not like a full set of primaries or most used colors. And so I've got like a big tube of burnt sienna that I haven't used, and it's pretty useful to have around, but I haven't been using it, so I thought, why not actively try doing a bunch of sienna or sepia tone paintings, doing a bunch of paintings that have like maybe an orange base, almost like the way that Picasso has his blue period. I'm going through a period of this is the tube I have, and do that colors period as, a whole board of 4. So in the end, I'll end up with, let's say I do 16 different paintings. I have maybe I do 4 different setups of 4. For each one of those, I'll still get the same number of paintings with a different colored base, but they'll just be done, if they're off of the board and the canvas, no one's going to tell exactly, because I can have them all shuffled in. It's like, oh, he did a couple of orange ones, a couple of green ones, a couple of magenta ones. But, I'll know when I made them that I did this set in this color. And I'm not sure what I may or may not learn from doing in that method. But that's part of the fun of this. It can't always be about figuring everything out beforehand and knowing exactly what your results are going to be. Part of it is also experimenting, playing around, and seeing what happens. And I think one of the reasons why I want to use up all of these extra colors that I've had laying around for a while that I haven't made use of is that I'm also looking towards experimenting with CMYK painting. For people that are familiar with print colors, most 4-color printing is done in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which is what the K stands for. That's CMYK printing. That's, the typical printing process is used for offset. And I'd never really experimented with getting some CMYK, like getting paints in those colors and looking at the painting process in a basic mix that's very close to the printing process. But I guess I've been doing graphic design work for so many years now that I think I'm starting to think of color mixing more in a CMYK than a RGB matter. So I figured why not experiment with it just to see what kind of results I get. And from doing a little research online and looking at some other artists' drawing and painting videos, it looks like the palettes are even more vivid and richer on the page than one gets in RGB, because, RGB is a digital process. So, it's great for digital painting, and you get colors that you couldn't get in real life. But as opposed to trying to replicate that using CMYK for a physical traditional process, it looks like it yields very vibrant results. So I'm looking forward to trying that out for myself. That's it for now. Check out my website, optichouse.com. Sign up for my weekly newsletter to get a free digital download and see what else I'm working on. And go be creative.